Call to order, Sarah.
All right. Going to call the meeting to order. For the Historic Preservation Commission meeting, special meeting to do some certificates of appropriateness. Any citizen comments?
Yeah, I guess this would be considered a citizen comment since the reviews are not technically public hearings. So I received an email from John Jackson. It says, "Good morning, Katie. In regard to the notice of consideration for application for 206 9th Street, which you guys are reviewing today, the proposal to paint the building spicy hue, bright orange, as the chip indicates, seems that this color would not blend well with the buildings in the neighborhood that are mostly gray or earth tones. I'm under the impression that the Historical Society's mission is to preserve a more subtle look. I understand if the business logos or marketing artwork requires this color, but to just paint bright orange may be excessive in my opinion, but I will be in acceptance to whatever the majority considers. Thank you, John Jackson, 856 F Street, Lewiston."
Jackson Auto Body, next door neighbor.
Correct.
Or people trust for people.
That's all I got for,
Okay.
they said it's legal. Sorry.
All right, so the new business, I guess, we're gonna dive into the certificates.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
All right,
So
so
I would read it from the agenda.
agenda. Right here, okay. Certificate of appropriateness for West End Historic District. An application by Dick White on behalf of Warner Avenue Development LLC for exterior paint at 206 9th Street.
Okay, so in your packet, there is the application, including the paint chip. It's kind of this brick red-ish color. It is called Spicy Hue. What it's called. And then there are also photos of the building. So this is that cream colored building. That's right at like that intersection of 9th and Idaho, I believe. And so they're looking to go to this more kind of brick reddish color. Several photos were included in the packet of the building itself. It'll be 3 sides of the building, so not this actual brick side, but the 3 sides that are the cream beigey kind of color. And then there is an example of this color on another building that is along F Street. This is at 1020 and 1030 F Street, where that upper section is painted the same spicy hue. Again, you can see it's kind of a brick red, and then that building has that same brick facade and then windows. But so that way you can kind of see what it looks like in the wild, have you? So that's it. It's just a request for paint.
Okay. Which isn't black, which is good. So we just start right here.
You start and you decide which of the items are applicable and which ones aren't, and then we
Okay.
will review the ones that are.
All right. Do we start with this page?
No.
You wanted to start here?
You're gonna start from your design
Yep,
guidelines. So
okay.
that's all part of the.
Da, 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 da. Okay. I'm new.
Not that new.
Let's go, here we are for the Lewiston Design Guidelines for the West End Historic District. So let's go over A. This is the first one, right? Yes. Okay, here we go. Brick, stone, and concrete. Buildings with brick exteriors, walls may be structural, load-bearing brick, or simply a brick veneer covering another structural material. I don't think this one's applicable. Because they're not replacing anything or doing any construction, it's just paint. Correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Everybody agree?
Yep.
Okay. B, metals. Metals were often used in historic buildings, particularly for ornamental elements such as columns and cornices and utilitarian features such as doors and windows and hardwares. Again, I don't believe it's applicable. Okay. C, wood. Historical wooden elements include doors, windows, sash, and sometimes, ornaments or siding. Again, not applicable because we're just changing paint color, correct? Okay. D, design guidelines for historical building elements. Here we go. Preservation of character, defining historical features of the storefront and main facade, including display windows, bulkheads, entry doors, transom lights, upper story windows, cornices, or parapets. Again, I don't think we're changing anything. This is just, here we go. We got to read through these, all right? If a storefront has been altered, restoration to the original design is no longer evident, and historical photographs are not available, a simplified interpretation of similar period storefronts is often acceptable. Removal of incompatible modern materials covering historical elements may be appropriate. Again, not applicable. If the altered storefront has acquired historical significance in its own right, preserving the altered storefront may be most appropriate. I don't think that's applicable either, right, guys? Preservation of historical storefronts on secondary building facades, again. And this next one is windows. You guys can tell me if it's applicable or not. This section addresses windows other than display windows generally situated on upper levels of a commercial building. Most historical windows of the 1880s to 1960s period are wood sash, although some later windows during this period are metal sash. Nope. Okay. F, doors. This section addresses exterior doors generally situated on the ground level of a commercial building. Most historical doors of the 1880s to 1960s period are wood or wood and glass, although some later doors during this period are metal and glass. NA?
No.
Okay. G, roofs. This section addresses commercial building roofs of the 1880s to 1906 period, most of which are flat with flat or shaped parapets. NA, right? Okay.
That really supposed to be 1906 or 1960s.
Okay.
It
That's
kind of
right.
depends on where I attached this from. I have a PDF version, I have a Excel.
I was just wondering if there was a reason, like, about 1906, they changed roofs.
There we go.
No, there is not spell check in Excel, which is where this document lives, so.
Gotcha.
kind of the way-
Awnings and canopies. This is H. Cloth and sometimes metal awnings and canopies were common during the 1880s through 1960s period. Many awnings could be rolled, raised, or lowered, and they often sheltered the entire walkway in the front of the building. But canopies were generally of rigid construction. Nope. I, chimneys. Chimneys in the 1880s to 1960s historical buildings are generally brick features incorporated into the building or walls, protruding from the roof or parapet. Many are no longer functional. NA. Thank you. J, balconies. Although balconies are rather uncommon features, they may be or may have been present or on historical buildings in the Lewiston West Historical District. NA, right? Okay, keep swimming. Okay, design guidelines for additions to historic buildings. Do we need to read all that? Because I just think this is a,
No, it's not an addition.
okay, it's not an addition. There we go. NA. L, design guidelines for parking facilities, lighting, signs, and streetscapes.
This is the one you guys usually
Is this the one we usually do?
use
Since the-
for.
Since the goal of, let's just read through it. Since the goal of rehabilitation is to provide new uses for historic buildings and the setting must be conducive to selected use, parking facilities, lighting, signage, and generally pleasant streetscapes are of the utmost importance in encouraging people to visit shops and other commercial venues in this historical district. Is there anything in here about paint?
Well, there's preservation of, number 7 is preservation of historic statements on exterior building walls. I believe you guys usually use, hold on, I gotta read through them again.
Yeah.
Not the lighting ones. I think we usually go with like the maintenance of, like 10 and 11, maintenance of pleasant streetscapes. With
yes.
Planner, sidewalk, compatible street furniture, pedestrian path, and then 11 historical features such as ritual street furniture, statues, walls, sidewalk inscriptions.
Okay, so can we,
And then 13 is present of pleasant public spaces. It's not a public space, but since we don't have a specific line item for paint, and SHPO has advised us not to review it as a specific line item. You guys normally look at it as, is it
General context.
the PB's went out?
He cut off here. It had a message on it. If it wasn't used or something, it would cut
oh,
off.
it would just sleep.
Interesting.
So should we do
we're
like,
having all kinds of IT
let's go,
problems in this room
we're gonna go from 10 to 14.
today. You guys usually talk about it in a general context of, is it still compatible with the neighborhood?
Well, and then you guys, actually, I was kind of looking ahead and here where it says on 14, where it exists, historic brick street surfacing should be painted, okay, but that's the street. Okay,
In section A, it talks about the bricks, stone and concrete, and it's number 4, it talks about, or number 3 talks about leaving brick, stone and concrete walls unpainted that were not painted historically. Brick masonry naturally has a water protective layer or a patina to protect it from the elements. Painting can seal in moisture and prevent the brick from breathing. Wouldn't that be what we're talking about?
You guys can definitely go back to that. I mean, they are, as shown in the application, they are leaving that
Yeah,
brick
they-
wall alone.
yeah, the brick walls.
The other walls are a masonry block, but
Okay.
they're currently painted.
Yes,
So if it makes more sense to the commission, we can go back to section A and revisit those items.
well, what I'm saying again is that it's already painted, they're not changing necessarily.
So I think we could talk, let's go back and review number 3 and then number 4
In section A?
in section A. But those might be the ones that make the most sense for this particular building in this particular case.
Leaving brick, yes. Brick, stone, or concrete, but this was structural, okay.
But
Yeah,
that number
this
3
one here.
specifically talks about.
Yes, so number 3, let's have the discussion on number 3 here. Leaving brick, stone, or concrete walls unpainted that were not painted historically. Brick masonry naturally has a water protective layer or patina protected from elements. Painting can seal in moisture and prevent the brick from breathing.
They're proposing to paint 3 sides of the building that are currently painted and leaving the one side that is that brick alone.
Yes.
So I guess it's up to the commission to decide if that complies or not.
So
Was.
it complies, but I think we should note that we did review that.
Is it painted? I'm looking on the pictures and I can't remember.
Yeah, it was painted that cream color, I believe, dear.
Well, the pictures, if you look at the back wall, it actually looks like that cream color is the brick. Because that back wall where there's the red and then the cream color, it actually looks like it's a structural cream colored brick. That I think it's page 6.
Okay, can you provide additional information for the group?
Well, the three sides that are gonna be repainted have been painted since, that was painted before I ever bought the building.
Okay.
Probably 15 or 20 years ago.
So they are painted at.
They are, the three sides are painted. The back part I thought was kind of multicolored and I left it
Mhm.
because I thought it was kind of cool
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. And while I'm speaking, it's odd, I should have gone by to see John Jackson, but you would think a painter of cars would get the picture, and he probably didn't have the benefit of going down the street to see the building that I already own that's been painted. The second thing is, I was gonna say, is if you stand there at this property, you look across the street at the parole office, it looks about the same.
Yeah,
If you
Same
look at
color.
the old.
it's a brick color, yes.
If you look at the old First Bank,
Mhm.
which is kind of an orangey color, it's on F Street at the
Mhm.
corner of F and 10th. And then you look at the Wells Fargo building, which is a lighter brick. I
Mhm.
think this actually makes this property fit more in with the existing colors, or the old colors, than it does right now.
Yeah, I would.
That was my intent.
Yeah.
And when we did the one that I painted, that's my building that shows the orange on there. We tried three different colors, and this ended up seeming to me to be the closest thing to match the existing brick and all
Looking like
that.
brick.
So,
Okay. I say it complies.
Yep.
Everybody else?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Should we go back to where were we at? L? I think,
Mhm. Yes.
yes, and so this is, again, the parking lots and so on and so forth. The only one that I thought might have some relevance was 14, but that's the street, so that's not applicable in that section, correct? L, okay? Moving on. M, design guidelines for new construction within a historic district. New construction within a historic district may be desirable to fill gaps left when buildings were destroyed by fire or removed for other reasons. New buildings in the Lewiston and West End Historical District should be designed to maintain the district's visual continuity, including relatively uniform heights and facade widths, the pattern of storefronts along Main Street, repetition of recessed entryways and vertical upper story windows, and freestanding buildings north and south of Main Street. I'd say, I'm gonna look it through here, but I don't think anything applicable in that one, because it's not new construction. All right, so we move forward. Correct? For a vote. Do we, or should we have discussion? I think,
Fine, I make the motion, we approve.
all right, let's vote. What do you think, girls? On the video up there? Are we ready to vote? Okay, here we go. Those who think we should approve the application, certificate of appropriateness for 206 9th Street, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, passes. Here we go.
thank you guys.
Thank you.
I realized that this was a special meeting, so thank you for taking the time to come and
Appreciate
take a
that.
peek at it and read all my stuff and everything. So,
Yes, no, I think the color, I think you're right, because,
It's gonna look fine.
yeah, across the street, probation paroles, that brick color, the banks are that brick color, there's a lot of color going on at the new credit union there, they got all kinds of color going on there, so I think we're golden.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, don't forget that.
Don't forget it. Eat lots of candy.
Yeah. Okay. This one looks like we'll find some more stuff to talk about because we are actually taking probably one of the most notable buildings in town here with the old Lewis Clark Hotel. So
Okay, do you want to read me the item from the agenda?
the
please?
agenda, here we go. Certificate of Appropriateness, West End Historic District, and application by Tim Lynch on behalf of Landmark Properties Group for removal, reconfiguration, and replacement of an exterior door on the south side of the building to allow for compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act standards and current city code. Project will be done in tow phases. It should be 2 phases, I'm sure. With the double door being replaced with 2 single doors in the first phase, and then again replaced with a double door once the interior remodel is complete in the second phase.
Okay, so in your guys' packet, so this is for the Lewis Park Hotel. On the south side of the building, kind of where the corner, little wedge triangle shape is, it used to have, like a wedding planning
Mhm.
business in it, Twigs and Marble or something like that. And they are looking to put a drinking establishment in that corner. There is currently a double hinged arched door that sits flush with the building, so it also sits flush with the property line, so it swings open over the sidewalk.
Mhm.
And there's a little bit of a lip. So to reconfigure that door, one, because you can't have the lip for ADA access,
Mhm.
and then B, the way that it swings out and basically encroaches into the right of way. We also like to kind of avoid that, because you don't want someone swinging open and
Right.
knocking someone walking down the
So they're
street.
gonna swing in?
No, they have to swing out, like
So
that's
they-
a safety situation.
so they-
But so to recess, so phase one is to recess. In your packet is to
Mhm.
recess the door in a little bit
Mhm.
so that it swings, or no, sorry, this is phase one, sorry, that's phase two. Phase one is to, again, to recess in, and they will build like kind of a little wall so that it swings, it still swings out. There'll be like a ramp situation so that someone can easily get up to it and then be able to go into the establishment. And that's, that'll occur, so they're working on, the interior right now. But the plan is for them to expand it to take up the entire space. And so they'll do that's why it says 2 phases and a temporary door. So the single door, the temporary door, while they kind of get the business up and running into this space. And then they will do the remainder of this remodel. You can see this is that part that's grayed out.
Mhm.
So this will become the expanded portion of the bar. And so once the expanded portion, that little notch that they have created,
Mhm.
the door will then, instead of going on the east side, will then go directly in the middle on the north side. And will swing again, the double, they'll redo that arch doorway where it does the double out. That way it's not swinging out over the sidewalk. They're able to smooth that little 6-inch lip up
Mhm.
into it at the ADA 2% standard. And then it'll have the same look as the rest of those windows that all have the arch.
Okay,
That it'll be recessed into the building a little bit to make a little all.
but they will have
Oh,
arch.
Yep,
Do
the
they have-
plan, the
do-
plan is to do the same.
And we have pictures of that?
So you have pictures of what the temporary door looks like, because the new door will look exactly like it does currently.
What did you say the
They'll bring
ramp
that
was?
up.
I'm sorry, I missed the ramp part.
So for the American Disabilities Act, you're only allowed to have a 2% slope. And so right now there's a lip that you would have to step up, so you can't get over that with like a wheelchair, right?
Mhm.
So their temporary ramp will be out in the public right of way. They're working with the Public Works Department on that. So you can see it says, where is it? There was a description of it.
But eventually, that little ramp will not be here.
Correct, because they'll be able to redo.
Cause it'll be recessed and then the ramp,
Yes.
then the ramp will be inside the little.
Yes, because they'll be able to then redo like the concrete or whatever out
Okay.
to the sidewalk, and so then that it'll just have the slope.
A
rather than-
gradual slope.
So they're gonna do like a temporary, I believe it's gonna be a wooden ramp to look kind of like the old wooden sidewalks.
Okay,
So it'll be, it's a little ramp that goes up both ways, so someone can get in and then get into the building.
that's the temporary.
That's the temporary, and so there's the picture of the temporary door, which is a,
Just a door.
just a square door. I mean, it has the same window situation that all the other windows do with the 10 block thing. And then some hardware that looks real similar to what,
Is on it. Oh.
is on like the other side of the building where they have the long
Big-
posts
The
and stuff.
big
Yes,
poles,
the big
yeah,
poles.
mhm.
Yes, so trying to match that up as much as they can for the temporary situation, and then, as you can see, you have the arched, door, so that arch situation will be like the same, except you would walk in there, it'll be recessed into the
Mhm.
building a little bit, and then you'll have the actual door
And it sounds,
that'll go inside.
it sounds like you, so this door that looks like it's on it, that looks like it's more of a newer door, and it sounds like they are actually going to replace the doors with replicas.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, because if you can see, so the door doesn't go all the way up to the arch, the arch
Right.
is a separate window piece.
Mhm.
And so it'll be this situation with the arched window piece.
Mhm.
And then,
Right.
like I said, they'll be replacing the handles and stuff.
That'd be attractive.
Because right now, I don't believe, it might be an operational door, but I don't think it's being used as an operational door. I think they're using it from the other.
Is it going to be, will the business be operating as a business with the temporary door, or that's just for construction?
No, but they'll be operating as a business with a temporary door. That's
Oh,
why,
and the-
that's why they have to have the ramp and all the stuff. Because if it was
Until-
just during construction, they wouldn't need anything, right?
I see.
It would be how it is, but since they will be operating as a business, they need to have those ADA standards, in place before they're legally allowed.
So they're moving along pretty good.
Yep.
Good.
Yeah, and then so do we have timelines for do you have an idea when?
My
when we roll?
understanding, so they're working on it, they're working on the interior right now, and so, the temporary door would probably be within the next like 2 weeks to 30 days.
Good.
And then my understanding is they're gonna get open and operational, operate for a certain amount of time, and then
Expand.
start on the thing, but my understanding is that's also gonna be in a quick rotation, like,
So we're not just like holding off, they just want to get rolling and then
yes.
they want to start the other phase two.
Yes, they are rolling right now with the interior work.
Okay.
So that is already,
So it's in the works.
yes, so the
Okay.
interior work is going on right now.
So I guess my concern would be, I guess, is Historical Preservation Commission would be, how long is the temporary, that might
90
be
days.
something we would take into consideration. I mean, if it was gonna be years that way.
No, so
It might be
the,
I think
something.
90 days is what I
yeah,
read.
so the applicant, so temporary, out of the International Building Code is 180 days, 6 months.
Okay.
That's temporary. And
Okay.
so that's why, Tim Lynch, from my architect, specifically used that term. He is aware of what that means. It's not the same as a
Okay.
layperson saying something's temporary because they
Right.
think it's not permanently
Yeah.
fixed to the ground or.
Cause I've temporarily
Whatever.
fixed things that.
Yeah,
for years.
Exactly.
Like temporary for me and temporary for them. are
Yes,
two.
so temporary in the minds of International Building Code is 180 days. So within 6 months, you would see
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good to know.
being completed where you went back to the double door situation. Okay,
Appreciate that.
yes. And actually, I'm surprised, he's
Tim's
not here.
here.
He was
Yeah,
here this
Tim's
morning,
usually-
so.
yeah, Tim's here usually all the time. All
He
right.
was here this morning. I thought he was gonna. come.
Okay.
But that is, we've had a lot of conversations because this is kind of like just a rolling thing and they're really trying to get, done and moving, so.
Because there is going to be some things, because there is going to be like for here on, well, let's just get rolling.
Yes, let's just. go
Let's
through
let's
it. I
go
think you're
through
gonna have a
A
lot of things
because,
for-
because this could be one of those things. A. Let's do this. List and design guidelines for the West End Historical District Certificate of Appropriateness. We're gonna review this now. Brick, stone, and concrete. Buildings with brick exterior walls may be structural, load bearing, brick or simply brick veneer covering another structural material.
There's no brick, this is the stucco building.
Is a stucco building, okay? Brick, stone, or concrete exterior walls. Is that can be going with a stone one, I know, with. Okay,
Okay, so the opening exists.
so the opening exists, so we're not doing any new, but we are recessing it. I'm just
Yeah.
wondering if,
Just
you know,
the,
as we do
the
things.
door is gonna be recessed.
Right.
So interior, which is not your guys' purview.
Okay,
Interior, they will be building walls,
okay,
right, to make this enclave. And then the door will basically just get pushed back.
okay. Okay, so let's say that one doesn't apply, two, repointing with the same type of mortar used historically and only if needed, preserving original mortar, and that just seems not applicable. Leaving brick, stone, or concrete walls unpainted that were not painted historically. I don't think that applies either, does it? Okay. Cleaning brick, stone, and concrete only if needed. I don't believe that applies. Proper drainage to prevent water damage to brick, stone, or concrete masonry. I have complete faith that they'll take care of all those things. I don't think that applies
That's where
either.
they're
Yeah,
doing. If they're adding something. to it.
yeah, if they're
That
adding
would
something,
be
but
displacing water.
we're just creating a little hole in the wall is basically what we're doing.
Well, they're not even
Recessing.
rated
Sort of
that way, the
Rec-
hole's there.
Yeah, recessing the doorway. Metals were often used in historic buildings, particularly for ornamental elements such as columns, cornices, utilitarian features such as a door and window hardware. Oh, okay, this one probably apply. Preservation of character defining historical metal features. Think there's
You're
any of
doing it.
that?
Because I mean, it specifically
Yeah.
says wood, historic wood divided light arch window to remain.
But this was metal. Maintaining historic protective coatings on metal features, not applicable. Because again, the doors will be wooden, right?
Correct.
Okay. Repair of historical metal features, not applicable. Cleaning if needed. Metal, not applicable. Provide proper drainage. Again, I think we're all good there. Everybody okay with that? Moving to C? Okay. Wood, historical wooden elements include doors, wood, window sash, and sometimes ornamental or siding. Sure this one's going to apply. Preservation of character defining historical wood features, repair of historical wood features if needed by patching, splicing, and with compatible wood. Replacement in kind with the same size, type, and material, only the historical element is too deteriorated to repair. Okay, sounds like they are going to use actual replicas for the doors, so
I
I
can make that work.
think that one, I think that one
Yeah, so that,
applies.
so the existing arch will remain,
Mhm.
and then the new doors are wood, and there is a copy of what they look like in your packet, so they have picked out the closest replica as possible, and like we were talking about the hardware, again, similar hardware, and that is on the existing doors and is on the doors on the other side of the building. They are new, but they are wood.
Mhm.
Do you know if the glass is obscure or not?
It's clear. It's clear, low E.
Okay. I think one applies.
Mhm.
But I think it complies. Everybody agree?
Yep.
Agree. Okay. Maintaining historical protection coatings such as paint of historical colors on wood features.
That probably applies too. 'Cause
Yeah.
That should match it.
Yeah, and it sounds, I think they had something in there that said. That they will. Well, but I don't think they're planning on painting the whole building, so I'm sure they're gonna match it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, so I'd say we should be in compliance there,
Mhm.
but it does apply, I believe.
I think so too.
Okay. Cleaning if needed, with the gentlest methods, but go ahead, sir.
Branding. Door's gonna be branding.
Yeah, so we don't need to clean it. I'm sure there'll be some things that need to be done. Providing proper drainage to prevent water damage to historical wood elements. I I'd say that all
Shouldn't apply.
should apply.
So we're saying 2, 3, and 4 do not apply.
Yeah. But 1 and 2 are
Two,
in
two,
compliance.
and you- okay. Sure.
Yep, we're golden.
Forward, correct.
Yes, design guidelines for historical building elements. Preservation of character, defining historical features of the storefront and main facade, including display windows, bulkheads, entryways, doors, transom lights, upper story windows, cornices, and parapets. I say
Yeah.
it applies, but I think from what we've seen, it's going to be in compliance.
So it applies and it will comply.
Will it comply? I believe it does. Anybody else? Good, okay. If a storefront has been altered, restoration to the original design is no longer evident, and historical photographs are not available, a simplified interpretation of similar period storefronts is often acceptable. Removal of incompatible modern materials covering historical elements may be appropriate. I say it applies, but they're in
I
compliance.
don't think that applies.
It doesn't, if a
No, if a
storefront.
storefront has been altered, it has not been altered. You can see from the picture from like the 1920s,
Mhm.
you can see that that is how that door has been since then. That is how the door still is. So it
Okay.
has not been altered in the past to look different than this
Okay,
original. So it still looks the way.
Oh, I
it is.
see what you're
Put
saying.
Metal doors in, they still.
but it will be altered, I guess.
Correct. But
Yes, I guess that's where I
So
was
that
at,
one
okay.
specifically is for, like, say you had, because I think farther down it says, yeah, so the next one is if the altered storefront has acquired historic significance in its own right. So say you had a building built in 1890 and it looked a certain way, and then in the 1940s, they remodeled it and went Art Deco.
Mhm.
And it's been that Art Deco since, and that is the more recognizable
I see what you're saying.
front of it.
Okay, so that's
Going
where
back to the pre might be difficult, and so that's what number 2 kind of talks about, if it's been altered in such a way that you can't tell what it was before.
Gotcha, okay. So, does not apply. So 3 would not apply either, from my understanding. Preservation of historical storefronts on secondary buildings, I don't think that applies either. All right, windows. The section addresses windows other than display windows generally situated on upper levels of a commercial building. Most historical windows of the 1880s to 1960s period are wood sash, although some later windows during this period are metal sash. I don't think windows apply.
Doesn't apply.
Well, I think it could apply because there is that arched window that is going to remain.
This, you mean on the top of
Yeah,
the,
this thing.
so on the top of the door,
Mhm.
but won't that be recessed as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, it will also be.
No, it looks like that's gonna remain there, and just the door itself will be recessed in. So you would still have that look of the arch along the wall with all the arch windows. Cause if you look at where he put the arrows, has the new 10 light 88 compliant wood door is the
Right.
one that's recessed in, and then historic wood divided light arch window to remain at the dotted line where the existing wall is.
Okay,
So I would say that probably does,
It
because
does
that is
apply.
a historic feature with all of them being in that row and being arched,
but they,
and it is going to remain.
but they are gonna leave it.
Yes.
They're not gonna move it in
No.
with the door. Okay. Okay, so it does. All right, preserving the function and decorative features of historical windows, including the sash, glazing, sills, moldings, hardware, and trim. Features too deteriorated to repair can be replaced in kind with the same size type of materials. I'd say it does apply then.
Yep.
But I think it does comply. Because they're just gonna leave what's
They're
there.
just gonna leave it, yep.
Okay.
So number 2.
Yeah, preservation of historical window openings, particularly on highly visible primary facades, does apply. But I think it complies. Everybody in agreement?
Yep.
Okay. If replacement of historical windows is necessary, use of new windows that retain the appearance of the originals, particularly on highly visible primary facades, is desirable. Matching the sash profile and materials is recommended. At a minimum, replacement windows should match the number and position of glass panes and be composed of materials that appear similar to the originals.
Replacing.
Yeah, there's no replacement. Use of storm windows. I don't think we're doing that one either. Okay, those two do not apply. Doors. This section, F, I should say. Doors, this section addresses exterior doors generally situated on the ground level of a commercial building. Most historical doors of the 1880s to 1960s period are wood or wood and glass, although some later doors during this period are metal or metal and glass. Okay, so one, preserving the function and decorative features of historical doors, particularly the main entrance. Important historical door features include the door, side lights, transom lights, hardware, and decorative detailing. Features too deteriorated to repair can be replaced in kind with the same size, type, and material. It sounds like we're doing replica doors, so we're nailing that.
Yeah.
It does apply, but they're in compliance. Number two, preservation of historical doorway openings, particularly on highly visible primary facades.
Yeah.
Yep, they're in compliance there. If replacement or historical doors is necessarily, use of new doors that retain the appearance of the original materials and design, particularly on highly visible facades, is desirable. Replacement with a very ornate door is discouraged unless supported by historical photographic evidence.
That applies in compliance.
Okay. Roofs. This section addresses commercial buildings roofs of the 1880s to 1960s, most of which are flat with flat or shaped parapets.
Nope.
Does not apply. Awnings and canopies. Cloth and sometimes metal awnings and canopies were common during the 1880s through 1960s period. Many awnings could be rolled, raised, or lowered, and they often sheltered the entire walkway in front of the building. Like while canopies were generally of rigid construction. Does not apply. Chimneys. Chimneys in 1880s through 1960s historical buildings are generally brick features incorporated into the building or walls and protruding from the roof or parapet. Not applicable. Balconies. Although balconies are rather uncommon features, they may be or not, maybe or have been present on the buildings in the Lewiston West Historical District. Not applicable. Design guidelines for additions to the historical building. Yeah, it's just not an addition, not applicable. Design guidelines for parking facilities, not applicable.
You didn't have to read all 11 of those.
And moving to M, Design.
14 of them, sorry.
design guidelines for new construction within a historical district. Not new construction. So I think we have exhausted that list. Yes.
Approve this.
I'll second it.
All right, let's have a vote. Those who would like to see us approve the certificate of appropriateness for the Lewis Clark Hotel, say aye.
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 Those opposed? All right,
Done.
it passes.
Very good. Okay, does anyone have any commissioner comments?
We'll get our pictures to you.
Yeah, I'll get my church information. I totally spaced that out. I was driving down here. I'm like, oh yeah, I never got any of the stuff for the church. But
You got anything, Cassie?
No, I don't. Do you guys have anything you need me to bring to the council meeting for the public?
No.
Okay.
So staff comments.
So regular meeting is next week. I'll be sending that packet out later today. I'm gonna try to get these minutes done, so those can be included. I believe if I remember correctly from watching the meeting that I had missed last month, that you guys were going to be sending me, your narratives for the information you had collected on the churches you had been assigned.
Yeah.
Please remember to do that so that we can discuss and kind of figure out what our next steps are, on that project. And then Lorinda, you said you had photos, and then Cameron, did you have photos? Did you go take more photos?
I went and took more photos. I was wondering if you had received them. I kept having issues. So if you did not receive my second,
I will go double check. I
Batch.
don't believe that I did.
I'll have to send it a different way then.
So I'll go double check on that. But yes, otherwise, if you were able to collect any information, please just type that up and send it to me. And that way we can just keep rolling with that project.
Okay.
And that's all I got.
All right. Let's move to adjourn. Somebody want to do that?
I will.
A second?
Second.
Meeting adjourned.
Very nice. Thank you, guys.
Katie, I will not be able to make this next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that written down from the last one.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay.